you people, they were the devil's.
Greetings from Mickey and from me from Castle Goring. Mickey's feeling particularly affectionate at the moment, which I think is absolutely delightful. So without further ado, I will take full advantage of it to plunge right in. Mac Conmara says, I love your videos and I hope you see this question. When you wrote your book on the Harkles, did you ever imagine that they would become this unhinged and vulgar? I remember early days of your channel and you would seek out questions that were not about the toxic duo, but now they seem to dominate most videos. I'm not complaining about the content. I love your views on these two as well as the rest of the royals and on any subject you discuss. You are as beautiful as you are intelligent. Thank you very much. Oh, that's really kind of you. Oh, how gratifying to get compliments of that nature at the grand old age of 72. Not in terms of the brains, of course, but in terms of, the everything else. Well, that's a very good question because I would never, when I started writing the book, I would never have imagined that things would derail the way they did and that the derailment would perpetuate with the persistence that it has done. I really had absolutely no idea. I could never have imagined it. No, I really couldn't. I actually thought that they had their virtues and they had their failings and that they could recalibrate the balance in a more positive way. But I didn't actually think that they were totally unhinged, which I now do. I didn't also realize to what extent they were not only vulgar, but crass and just so grabinicious, as the Jamaicans would put it, which I think is a wonderful word because it says it all. I really had no idea, but they pay good money to keep themselves topical. And since my viewers seem to want me to address what is going on, I feel obliged to do so. There are times, I have to tell you, when I'm mightily cheesed off with the fact that I am having to address the mewling and squawking of two semi-savage beasts that are little better than 18-month-old creatures, regardless of what species they would be. Then at other times I think, well, there is merit to be gained from looking at their meretricious behaviour, because it really is very meretricious, because it is an absolute study in various personality disorders and how to go about wrecking not only your own life, but the lives of other people. And whether they will succeed or not is still an open question. So it is a tableau vivant in reality. And yeah, I would never have predicted it though. I mean, I couldn't have predicted it. Nobody, I think, could have. I think everybody's been blindsided. Catco says, I just saw where Star magazine has a cover story that Kate is jealous of Meghan. Can't wait to hear your take on that one. Oh, Mickey, come here. Come here. Come and console Mummy while she addresses this preposterous notion. Can you believe it? Star magazine in, I think it must be in America, says that Catherine is jealous of Meghan. Can you believe it? Oh, I can believe it. Of course Catherine's jealous of Meghan. Catherine's never had any plastic surgery. She's a good-looking girl. She has the face God gave her. So that means she's jealous of Meghan, because Meghan is not as good-looking a girl, but it's still a good-looking girl, but's had a load of plastic surgery. So, of course, Catherine's got to be jealous of Meghan, because one must always be jealous of artifice when one is natural, no? Then, of course, Catherine must be jealous of Meghan, because, think about it. Catherine is tall and slender and wears clothes well, and Meghan is short and doesn't wear clothes well. Meghan isn't actually short. She's 5'6", so that's not exactly short, but she's certainly not 5'10" or 5'11", not even 5'9", and also her body is not a body that wears clothes well, and her posture, the postulating that she does as she flouses herself all about the place, showing everybody just how potently wonderful she is, and just hot stuff. And so bending into every shape that really God didn't intend anybody to be in, and certainly no dress designer intended anybody to be in when wearing their clothes. So yes, I'm sure Catherine is jealous of Meghan's figure, because Catherine's taller and has a better figure for clothes. Also, Catherine will definitely be jealous of Meghan, because Meghan's booby-woobies have gone up and down, up and down, up and down over the years. While Catherine's have remained a wonderful champagne glass full. Naturally, Meghan's never were a champagne glass full, whether naturally or not. So, of course, Catherine must be jealous of Meghan for that. Catherine is obviously jealous of Meghan because Meghan is so much more popular than she is. Everybody admires Meghan, and not many people admire Catherine. And yes, Catherine has more followers than Meghan had, but that, I'm sure, is some reason that we'll need to ask Meghan and Sunshine Sachs to come up with the explanation for. But I'm sure they'll come up with one. Jealous of her? My understanding is that Catherine Cambridge scorns Meghan the way I scorn certain low lives that I have come across in my life. And believe me, nobody is more scornful than I am when somebody gives me cause to scorn them. Jealous of Meghan? Whatever next? Mix, catch that pig! Star says it's flying. C.B. Holmes says, Lady C, what do you think of the latest excuse making for the allegations of Meghan bullying her staff? Apparently it wasn't her fault for bullying them because, quote unquote, she's an alpha. She can't help being an alpha because that's how she survived her father's upbringing. So staff needs to just suck it up and embrace Meghan's alpha nature. Have you heard this one? Well, I have heard variations of it. I haven't heard it quite like that. I certainly have heard from the Meghan camp that Meghan was burdened with insufficient and inadequate and incompetent staff who didn't understand that her standards were high and she was not prepared to tolerate their pathetic and low or ridiculous standards, and that Meghan believes in work, and they didn't believe in work. I mean, can you imagine? They wouldn't be available to answer an email at 4 o'clock in the morning. Now, isn't that unreasonable? I would think, really, that's definite cause for dismissal, certainly for abusing someone to the point that you actually constructively dismiss them, which is the legal term for not dismissing somebody but treating them so badly that they have to leave. Let's not dress it up. Everything suggests that Meghan is a bully and a nasty piece of work, with a patina and an overlay that used to be rather more appealing than it is now. Because once you've seen through the act, oh, yes, Ellen, I'm just so eager to please. Yes. Oh, Larry, I'm so eager to please. Yes. Oh, pick that dress up. Do you call that pressed? Huh. Honestly, what do you take me for? I'm a really classy dame. Sorry, lady. I'm a classy lady. And I demand that everything be up to the highest standard because I'm truly classy. And if you can't see it, you're inadequate. You're pathetic. You deserve to ground into the dust. K3In says, it has also been announced today that Soros is throwing millions into the overhaul of the American judiciary system. This is the money behind Harry and his recommendations to silence Americans. What do you think? Well, I think there are definitely problems in the American judicial system. I will not say there aren't. It is obvious to any thinking person that there are and that they need to be addressed. Should they be addressed by a Hungarian billionaire? I don't think so. America is rich enough to be able to afford to overhaul its judicial system itself. It should have done it a long time ago. You know, when I was young, American justice counted for something. It doesn't anymore in many quarters of the world, with good reason. It needs an overhaul. It needs an overhaul, whether it's leftist, rightist, centrist, or justinist. Justice should be blind, and justice should be balanced. Justice should not be cutting deals the way the American judicial system, and the Japanese, it has to be said, constantly do. You know, success rates of however many percentage points, which are way in excess of anything anywhere else on earth, should tell you right there that something is a little bit fishy. But George Soros? No. All societies need to guard themselves against the very privileged and those who wish to be very powerful. Every society's natural enemy is a politically ambitious, very rich man. It's been the case throughout the history of humanity, and it remains the case now. Unless somebody is schooled in total impartiality and nobility, which it has to be said, people used to be in ancient Greece and Rome, and people have been throughout civilization in pockets. But it's often open to abuse. Powerful people corrupt the system corrupts powerful people. I think it's Lord Chesterfield who said, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. George Soros should be watched very carefully, as should any other very rich man, unless he's going to lend the money and you have people from all political persuasions implementing the changes. Once you're sure of impartiality, then he can give as much money as he wants. But between now and then, I don't think we need to be living in Soros land. Heather Whitaker says, Lady C, just yesterday I became aware of the passing recently of Thomas Markle's 80-year-old elder brother. His name was Michael, Uncle Mike. He is the uncle who worked for the State Department and got her the internship in Argentina, as well as her uncle on her mother's side just recently passed from a terminal illness age 72. Yes, Mr. Johnson, J.J. Johnson, he died, I think, at the end of August of congestive heart failure. Neither family were invited to her wedding, and neither death acknowledged, though before meeting Harry they had been close. This is a truly wicked, soulless woman. Do I agree? I would hesitate to disagree when you have made your position so clear, and I think you are entitled to it. Do I agree with it? I don't know how to put it in quite those words. I'd have said cold, callous, brutal, opportunistic. Soulless, yes. Wicked. I wouldn't grace her with that favour. You know, this is the sort of mistake that Meghan Markle makes, and has such contempt for the observations of sentient and thinking people that she can't see that she is making the mistake in revealing that which she should be concealing. If she's a heartless opportunist and wants to be popular, she should do what she did when she was on her way up. Fake it, baby, fake it, fake it. You faked it all those years. You should be continuing to fake it. But she reached the point of success where she thought she didn't need to fake it anymore. You know, her aunt said, and I'm going to read out what her aunt said, that she hadn't heard from Meghan in the 3 months since her doting uncle died. Joseph Johnson, who was known as JJ, he described Meghan as magical. His widow Pam said, "We have had no words of condolence from Meghan. I know that Meghan knows about his passing because her mother Doria knows. I should hope so, it's her brother. And she is certain to have told Meghan. I'm sure she has. There's no way Meghan doesn't know. Some of my family members are upset that she hasn't reached out." Yes, I'd be upset too. But this is yet another nail in that humanitarian's coffin. You know, I'm such a humanitarian. I'm one act of compassion at a time, but not for either the black or white sides of my family. No. Can't be bothered with them. They're not important enough. I need to have one act of compassion at a time for strangers, and it needs to be shown on television or broadcast via the media. Sunshine Sacks, go on. I did something nice today. I was compassionate. You've got to let the world know. What did you do, Meghan? I woke up and said, you there, pick that up, please. Is that not wonderful? I'm just so wonderful. How anybody can be so dumb has got to be the word. So insensitive, so arrogant, so impertinent, so blind to the realities, so indifferent to the realities, unless they are truly mentally ill, is beyond me. And I have come to the conclusion that Meghan is barking mad. She's nuttier than a fruitcake. John Starr says, I don't think anyone in America thinks that Harry is a dangerous man. America has bigger problems than Harry and Meghan. John Starr, you're both right and wrong. Harry and Meghan have attached themselves to some very rich and powerful and potent operators. They are little dinghies being dragged along by big super yachts, posing as super yachts. Don't you think a super yacht has wash? Don't you think that the person in the dinghy who's giving the fake message is giving it on behalf of someone? Don't you understand how propaganda works? It's the message repeated often enough from sufficiently different sources. Meghan and Harry are not really important enough. But by exploiting their positions the way they are doing and trying to make themselves more important than they are, and by using and being used by the people they are using and being used by, some of whom are funding them. Let's remember this. They're not funding Meghan and Harry because they're wonderful. They're funding Meghan and Harry because they're useful, because they think they can benefit from their existence. They think they can derive a financial and worldly benefit. That's where they become dangerous. And yes, America has bigger problems than Harry and Meghan. You certainly do. You certainly do. My heart breaks when I think of the America that I went to school in and the America that is today, riven as it is with division. And you have people like Meghan and Harry playing upon those divisions and being embraced by elements of the press. So far, fortunately, not by the general public. And you think they're not dangerous? I think it never behooves you to underestimate your enemy. It's always better to overestimate your enemy. That's one sure way of annihilating your enemy. Underestimating him or her simply opens up the opportunity for success. Tina Peters says, "Thank you for your powerful video stroke post. For Harry, all that is lacking is the leather coat and matching boots." It is time the public stopped looking at them as entertainment. They and their handlers are a danger to a free society. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. The sentiments, beliefs, and solutions that they espouse are very dangerous. William Grant says, "Harry has made racist comments, worn a dated German uniform that would insult the memory of those killed. Yet no comment about it from the press in America or the woke Democrats, or from Oprah or Ellen. Are they pro-racist?" Well, are they pro-racist? Yes, they are, in my view, pro-racist. They are mischievously using race. I prefer to listen to people like Thomas Sowell. Thomas Sowell is authentically black, authentically well-educated, authentically a brilliant man and a great thinker. I'd sooner listen to Thomas Sowell reciting the alphabet than Harry and Meghan spouting their rubbish about everything and nothing. They are being pushed by people who, in my opinion, are dangerous. I am not an elitist. I have never been an elitist. I may have been born into the elite, but fortunately, both sides of my family understood noblesse oblige. Even my mother, terrible as she could be, insisted that we behaved properly and that we appreciated our privileges and earned the right to them. Harry and Meghan are rank elitists. All elitists basically want everybody except those who agree with them down there under their thumb. That is the absolute opposite of freedom. Yes, all societies have elites, but elites are things to watch out against. Harry and Meghan would like all of us to surrender our freedom of speech, freedom of congregation, freedom to criticize them, freedom to espouse any viewpoint that they do not agree with. So would their supporters. Cancel culture should be cancelled. So do I think they're racist? I think the whole lot of them are racist. I know people of colour. I'm Jamaican. I've been brought up amongst people of colour all my life. I know how nuanced the whole thing is, and I know how much progress we have made in my lifetime. So do people of colour who are responsible, people like Trevor Phillips and Thomas Sowell. We should be listening to them, not the airheads, Harry and Meghan, and that phony baloney white man trying to pass himself off as a brown boy, otherwise known as Amid Scabies. I'd love to know what his mother thinks of the fact that he's calling her black or brown. Don't know which one it is, but it's one or the other. I'd love to know what her opinion of it is, because I know what the opinion of the Persians is. And let me tell you, their opinion is not fit to be repeated on this program. They are up in arms about his claims. June Sherwood says, as I wrote once before, Meghan has the potential to be another Madame Mao, who also started out as an actress. When she married Mao, she used her elevated position title to silence all her critics and erase her former identity by erasing those who knew her before Mao. She took the reins of power and used them like a whip and caused a reign of terror for those she did not like, and she was unrepentant and self-righteous to the end. Do I see similarities? Yes, I do. I see similarities in character and tendency. I also see differences, because Madame Mao's husband was the dictator of China. Meghan's the dictator of Montecito, and Harry is the dictated. Come here, little pussycat. Come on, pussycat. Come on. I want you to meow for me. Meow, meow. Good boy, H. Good boy, H. Now run along. Oh, H, come back. Tell the public about race and race relations. You know, all the things I've educated you about recently. Do tell them. Oh, glah. Honestly. Yvonne C. says, I just saw a Facebook post being pushed out saying, Harry will be king. I replied saying he will never be king and attached a copy of Harry wearing a Nazi uniform. I also posted on Harry and Meghan's Facebook page. Someone immediately deleted my posts, and I was blocked from posting on the ad again. If Harry is going to be king, I trust that requires the deaths of Charles, William, and all of William's children. What the heck are Harry and Meghan planning? Well, I wouldn't know that you could call wishful thinking necessarily planning. But I'm sure it's wishful thinking. And they're putting it out there. There's a precedent for it. In 1929, the Duchess of York at the time, who lusted after being Queen of Great Britain, put out, and it was published in the New York Times, this is 7 years before the abdication, that she and her husband would make far more fitting monarchs than his elder brother, the Prince of Wales, as he still was, who ultimately became the Duke of Windsor. This is a kite that Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon was flying 7 years before. And as the Duke of Windsor used to say, had there been no Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon, there would have been no abdication. Now, I'm not going to go into the minutiae of the whole thing. If you really want to know the ins and outs of it, you can read it in my book, The Untold Story of Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, because she was a brilliant and skillful operator. She wasn't an anti-monarchist, she was pro-monarchist, but my goodness, the fact that both Meghan and Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, were born on the same day does mean that there might have been a little similarity there somewhere. And even if you don't believe in astrology, which I don't really, the coincidences are remarkable. So, I think it's called putting the idea out there and then hoping for the best. The Duke of Orleans did it as well. Philippe Egalite lost his head. Elizabeth didn't lose hers. Edward VIII lost his throne. Who knows? I mean, hasn't it been said that Meghan believes that they're one plane crash away from the throne? I can tell you, if that happened, I would be heading up the Republican Party. As in, not American Republic, but the Republic of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, with a president and a dethroned royal family. Sharon Sweat says, Lady C, you are wonderful. I have asked this, oh, thank you. I have asked this a couple of times but haven't gotten an answer. My grandson is married to a UK citizen. It took 1.5 years, even though they were married, to get her to the US legally. How is it that Harry can just waltz over here, stay and work without going through all the immigration hoops everyone else has to jump through? It seems he is no better than the people sneaking over our southern border. What do you think? Harry has used the law to his advantage. There are categories of visas, one of which is if you're unusual or unique and have something to offer. And his position as a Prince of the United Kingdom and a royal duke does mean that he falls in that category. So he's taken advantage yet again of the loopholes of, you know, Harry and Meghan take advantage of everything. I mean, I was brought up to believe, and I sincerely believe and brought my children up to believe, that exploitativeness is a failing, not a virtue. Take that which is good and take that which you need or that which is desirable. Leave the rest for someone else. You don't have to stuff your face at every turn and everything is, oh, I'm going to take advantage of that. I'm going to take advantage of that. I'm going to take advantage of that. I'm going to exploit that situation. I'm going to exploit. It's not a commendable way to behave. And on that note, I will say thank you very much for listening. I hope this has been of some interest to you. If it has, please like, share, subscribe, press the notification bell, and please remember to keep the questions coming in. This cannot be done without you. God bless you and goodbye.